Good day and welcome to Code Skwela. This session, we are gonna be continuing building our task manager app. So for this time, we are gonna be looking at Bootstrap. So Bootstrap is a JavaScript UI framework that allows us to add styling for our web pages or HTML pages. So let's take a look at Bootstrap. So if you have your browser open, head on to getbootstrap.com and it will lead you to Bootstrap's main website. So basically what Bootstrap is it's a UI framework. So it has several different controls and options that you could use to style your web pages. Okay, so here let's head on to our docs and see what we could do to improve the look of our task manager app. So you have so many different information around here, but let's focus first on how we could make our task input or the text input text box. So let's head on to let's say input group. So what we want to do is follow this sort of same based on our mock-up. We have a task label and then the text box and then the save button. But let's make it a much better looking uh, input. Okay, so we have here an input group. By the way, you have so many different things that you can do with Bootstrap. So hopefully later on we could discover or uh, take a look at these different offerings from Bootstrap. So for now, let's just focus on making our uh, text input look good. So we have here this is called an input group. So it allows you to group together a set of controls like a label and a text box or a button at the end. So let's try and follow this one. So basically what you will do is use the different classes offered by Bootstrap to style your uh, HTML. Okay, so in this case, here is the example, and then here is the code that uh, you are suggested to that you use. So for classes, for input groups, you use the input group, and then you can use the input group text class, and then for the controls, you can use form control. Okay, basically, uh, the different formatting is based on classes. Okay, so let's try this one out. Let's add here. So instead of doing this, we can do now is uh, enclose this first in a div tag. Okay, and then here we will apply the class input group. Yeah, input group. Okay, and then here instead of a this one, we will be using input group text. Now, so okay, so let's turn this into the label. Let's put this one outside and then let's take out the input. Okay, sorry, and then let's okay, cool. Let's turn this label into the input class is equal to input text. Okay, then for the input, let's add the form control class, and then for the button, let's add the class button primary button outline primary. Okay, and let's see what this would look like. Okay, so let's run our app. Right, let's wait for a few seconds. Okay, cool. Now we can see that it does look much better now. You have your label and then your input our text box, and then our save button. So we could still do this, and then we can try adding save. You might have noticed that it had covered the entire length of our page. So we can limit this to a certain length or width. So with Bootstrap has this concept of grids. So with grids, your web page is sort of like divided into an imaginary grid. Okay, so we have 12 columns. Columns would be, if this is our page, the columns would be the vertical lines. We have an imaginary vertical lines of like divided into 12 sections. And then you have rows, which is like a table, sort of like a row table, wherein the page is divided horizontally, that is in that form. Okay, so let's try and add this as a grid format. It's a grid. Okay, so let's say add a class and then row. Okay, now we can this one. Let's add this as a column or size of the column. Say col dash, and then the number would be, you have an option of 1 up to 12, since uh, the page is uh, divided into 12 imaginary sections, right? So let's just use half of the page so as not to make it too wide. Okay, let's save this and let's see. Right, so now it's a more uh, much better size. Okay, so that looks a little better. Now let's start uh, adding layout for our list or task list. Okay, here let's find what we could let's see if there's an option for us to style our list. Okay, let's see, what about this one, list group. Okay, cool, this looks useful. Okay, so with list group, what you can do is just use the list group class for your main list tag. In our case, we have used an ordered list. Then for each of the items, we can use the list group item uh, class. Okay, so let's try this one. So we have here our bottom list of tasks. Okay, here. So let's add a class here, which is named list group. Then for each of the list item, you can add a class list item. Okay, save this, see how it would look. Okay, so now we have spanning the entire list. Okay, so if we do add more, let's add more. Look, you see much better looking list. Can add more. So now you might have also notice that it would have stretched out for the rest of the page. We can also add or enclose this into a grid to make it the same size as the uh, input text box on the top. So let's do that. So let's do that. Let's hide this first. Basically, what you could do is encapsulate this again. Following what we did on the top, we can use a row. Right? Let's enclose this section. Okay. Then let's enclose this section, and then again, this one we can limit it to a column of a length of around 6 columns. Okay. Okay, you have something wrong here. This should be a class. All right. Now let's see how it would look like. Cool. So now we have a much better looking task list. Let's add some styling for our uh, function buttons. But this one, let's try adding some padding. With Bootstrap, you have also different options for adding spaces in between your elements. So let's see if I think sure though. I think we have it's on utilities. Yes, you have margin and padding. So let's see here. Focus on margin and padding and then spacing utilities. Okay, here spacing. Yeah. So you can add different spacing uh options, like you can add a margin or a padding for each of your controls, especially on a grid. So let's try margin. So you set M and then okay, here's the syntax, the property, and then the sides, which means, and then dash, and then the size. So we have the example here. So we have here, okay, we have, see an example how we could do that. So with size, so let's see. Okay, well, let's just try this one uh, on one of our row. Okay, so you do is, let's say we want to add a margin. Margin, you would use the M, okay, and then the sides. So for the sides, you have different options. T, which means the top, and then B, the bottom, and then you have S, start, and then E, end, and then you have also options for the X, which means the horizontal axis, so the horizontal one, and then the Y, the vertical one, or the vertical axis, which is the top or the bottom. Okay, and then you can set the size from 0 to 5. Okay, let's try Y. So we want to add margin on the top and the bottom, and then the size would be like, let's say 1. Okay, save this, and okay, you see there's a small space here. We could even make it little bit wider. Okay, let's add up 3. Say 3 would be much better. Okay, cool. Now we have that. Now with the buttons, let's try adding styling for our buttons. Okay, let's head back to the Bootstrap documentation and let's see what we could do with the buttons. Okay, let's head here with under components, we have buttons. So with buttons, we have different options also. So let's see, we can have primary. So this is how you use button and then another class button, primary, secondary, success, or whatever option is available to us. Okay, so you have so many different options here. You have also a button that would just look like an outline. Okay, then you can also indicate the size, small button, and then custom size, and then large button. So for button, small button, let's button dash SM. Okay, so let's try this one out. So we have, for our done button, let's try button done. Okay, here, let's add that class button btn, let's say success. Is that, let's double check? Yes, button success. And then let's add btn small, just make it a bit smaller. Okay, see, cool. Now it's green. It still click on it though. Yeah, it still works. Okay, now let's add styling for the edit. Okay, let's add a class btn primer primary, and then btn small, and then for the delete, let's also add styling for this. And what option can we use? Let's say danger. That would be btn danger. btn danger. Then set the size to small. Okay. Save and let's have a look. Cool. Yeah, that looks much better. We now have the different stylings options. Delete. Okay. Click delete. Yeah. We might need to fix this one also. The prompt or confirmation box for our delete function. Let's try and fix that. Let's look at what we could use for this confirmation. Let's see alerts. Let's see alerts. Okay, so this could look or could be useful. So how do we use that? Use the class alert and then another class for the specific styling. Okay, so let's see, we should use alert and then alert danger. This could be useful. Okay, so where is our delete uh, confirmation? Okay, so let's remove this. Then let's uh, use this as a row. Let's set this as a row. Again, we will put this in a grid. Then we'll have to encapsulate this or enclose this in a column. Just follow the same or the rest of what we have before. A column of size of 6 columns, and then for this we will be using the alert. Okay, so alert and alert danger. I think this one. Okay, this one. So let's enclose this section as alert danger. See, let's close this one. Okay, we might need to add some margin. See margin top, margin and then t top, and then let's add set the size to 3. Okay, okay, cool. Now we have this confirmation. Nice. Much it does it look much better? Let's set the buttons. Let's add styling to our buttons also. btn then and secondary for the yes button as btn btn danger button danger. Okay, let's see. Nice. And now you look uh the overlook I mean the overall look of our app now. It's much better. Yeah, it has colors, and then yeah, it's I think we can move this one, right? Let's see if how we could do that. We have options. First, let's say position. Let's see text. Oh yeah, let's try this one. Text, and let's see if that here. Button, we have class text and okay, set this one. Yep, it's much better. Cool. So now they'll have a much better looking uh, app. Let's just close this one. What about our valid or error message? Let's click save. Yeah, it's kind of plain also. Let's use the alert one. So where is that error message? Okay, this one. Let's use the alert. Alert danger. Right. C. Okay, that looks good. Cool. Let's add a bit of a margin top, size 1. Let's add a bit of spacing. Cool. Yeah, that looks good. That looks good. Okay, let's try editing. Okay. There's must be something wrong here. The error message should clear out once we hit edit. Okay, let's fix that. Let's fix that. Stop this and head back to our edit. With edit, we should be clearing out error message. Message is equal string empty. Okay, that should fix it, and let's run it again. Should come up now. Okay, so have let's try. Let's fix this a bit. So what we want to do is only show error message if there's any. So let's add a condition here. If error message, let's move this on back inside, right? Oops. Okay. Okay. Error message dot. Let's add a string dot null. It's not null. So we only want to show the error message if there's any error message. Okay. Let's see. Okay, cool. Let's try clicking save. Right. We have that save. Let's try adding it. Dishes. Save. Then here we have. Then let's try edit. Yeah, there's no error message. Let's edit. Yep, it's updated. Okay. Uh, let's add more. Cool. That looks much better now. Okay. So that is how we could integrate or make use of the Bootstrap library. There are so many things that you can do with Bootstrap. So if you have time, you can take a look at Bootstrap's documentation and see the different things that uh, it could offer. So especially with the different layouts, grid would be a great tool for you to use in laying out or formatting your pages. So it has different options of how your page would interact, especially if you want your uh, page to be responsive, wherein it could change depending on the size of screen. So uh, Bootstrap is quite good at that. So yeah, so that is uh, this session is all about Bootstrap. So hope to see you guys in our next session as we build out our task manager app.